being with us.
It's nice. It's always wonderful to see you.
Is the same for us. I want to start with this question because U.S. foreign policy toward the Maduro regime has definitely changed. In your words, what message did the Trump administration send to the Maduro cartel with the bombing of a vessel leaving Venezuela with suspected drugs and drug traffickers on board?
Well, I think first off, there's clearly a new sheriff in town. Donald Trump has a totally different policy towards Maduro, and I want to thank Marco Rubio because I know he really cares about Latin America. So first off, if you're going to try to sell drugs and kill our kids in this country, we're going to kill you. That's exactly what happened. All right, that boat wanted to sell drugs to our kids, they're dead. So so the risk dramatically increased for the cartel members from Venezuela. I think the risk also increased for Maduro. Now the reward is $50 million. I've got a bill to take it to $100 million of monies that Maduro has stolen from the people of Venezuela. So there's a new president. He cares about the safety of Americans. He cares about liberty and freedom in Venezuela. So I'm optimistic that no más días de poder de Maduro. So we're gonna get some freedom.
Secretary Rubio has already warned that more similar actions are coming, that the United States is on the offensive against what is considered a threat to the national security of the United States. Do you believe the physical safety of Maduro and his accomplices is at risk at this time?
Absolutely. I mean, let's remember that Maduro is the head of El Cartel de los Solos. He's the head of Tren de Aragua, the cartel selling drugs to our kids. So yeah, I think his life is at risk, and his safety is at risk.
What objectives would this military mission to the Caribbean have to accomplish for you to feel satisfied with the financial effort in equipment and personnel invested in this operation? What should those objectives be, in your opinion?
Stop allowing drugs to come into this country and kill our kids. It's as simple as that. I've got grandkids. I want them to stay alive. I don't want any drugs coming in from Venezuela in those cartels. So I think the bottom line is this is worth it to me because I think it's going to dramatically reduce the chance that my grandkids die of some drug overdose.
But for some, this regime change is a priority for the safety of the region. But Maria Corina has been saying that this regime change, we as Venezuelans, we already decided on July 28th last year that United States just have to help us in the transition. Do you see it in the same way?
Well, first off, Maria Corina Machado is an unbelievable fighter, and so her life's at risk every day. So I hope I pray for her safety every day. You're right. The people of Venezuela, it was proven that they elected Edmundo Gonzalez, not Maduro. So would I like Maduro to be in prison? I do. I hope the United States does everything we can to help Maduro end up in prison and we get democracy back in Venezuela soon.
There are think tanks, spokespersons, human rights advocates, and former Biden administration officials who have questioned this lethal action against a Venezuelan vessel, even suggesting that they were fishermen. They claim that even drug traffickers have human rights and that Trump should have arrested them, not eliminated them. What would you respond to them?
Well, anybody that wants to kill our children ought to be dead. So, I mean, these are terrorists. They're killing our children. You kill my child, right? You kill my grandchild. You should die. So that's exactly what's happening. This is justice. These people have been killing our kids. The entire Biden administration. The Biden administration did nothing to stop the death of our children. It allowed criminals and narco traffickers. It allowed all the drugs in their country. This is over. This is stopped. The border is secure. You're a part of a cartel. You will die.
Maduro first said he was going to enlist 4.5 million men in a militia against the United States. And now he's telling Trump that he wants peace and that he can help this administration combat drug trafficking. These confusing and contradictory messages from Maduro, what signal do they send, in your view, Senator?
Well, Maduro's weak. He knows he's weak. He's decimated the economy of Venezuela. He's decimated the lives of millions and millions of Venezuelans. I think he's scared, and he should be scared. He knows that he's the head of the cartels. He knows he's the leader of selling drugs to our children and killing them. So his days alive or in prison are numbered.
The Secretary of Defense mentioned that Maduro should consider whether he wants to continue being a drug trafficker and that he must make a decision, and that it's in everyone's interest for him to turn himself in. It was a direct message to Maduro. Do you think the United States is going to impose a deadline on Maduro to make that decision?
Well, look, I don't know exactly what the Trump administration is going to do. I do believe the Trump administration knows the importance of not allowing drugs to come in the country. I know they know that Maduro stole the election. They know that Maduro's head of the cartels are selling drugs. So I think that Maduro, what he ought to do is, if I was in his position, I'd move to Russia or China or Iran today.
When President Trump spoke about the bombing of the vessel, he claimed that the conversations of those on board have been recorded. The Secretary of Defense also added that they knew who was on board. In other words, can the Maduro regime be sure that the United States is currently following them, recording them, knowing where they are and their movements, Senator?
Well, I look, I don't ever want to talk about what the abilities of our American military, but if I was Maduro, I'd be scared to death right now.
The Minister of Communication even said that the image we saw on the lethal attack on the vessel was artificial intelligence. Several agencies like Reuters and the BBC conducted tests and had no indication that this was a setup. In other words, this is happening. This is real. Senator, we've only seen this type of actions against terrorist organizations. In other words, would this prove that this administration not only classifies but now treats the Venezuelan regime as a terrorist organization? With this, it's official, right?
Well, absolutely, it's a terrorist organization. Absolutely, and I called for the Trump administration to declare a Cartel de los Solos and Trinidad as terrorist organizations. They are. The head is Maduro. So he's clearly a terrorist. And so I think if he should look at his life as being at risk right now.
I have two more questions. What is your explanation for Maduro continuing to receive migrants sent from the United States? Do you think he wants to keep the channel of negotiation open? My question is, what does it mean for the United States to have that channel of negotiation open? It is possible that tomorrow we'll see Donald Trump say that Maduro wasn't as much of a drug trafficker as initially thought.
I'd be shocked. I think we all know that all this is led by Maduro. So there's no ifs, ands, or questions about it. It's led by Maduro. I think the Trump administration is going to hold Maduro accountable. My goal is Maduro is in prison for the rest of his life for the atrocities against the American people and the Venezuelan people.
And my last question is, Senator, you've always been there. The Venezuelan issue has always been on your agenda. You demanded $100 million for Maduro's head and invited Edmundo Gonzalez to President Trump's inauguration. What does the United States' new stance on a tyranny you always understood as criminal mean to you?
Well, I'm very, very appreciative of what President Trump's doing and Secretary Marco Rubio and Secretary Hegseth. I'm very, very, very appreciative. Finally, we're going to get some action here. My heart goes out. Just think about the kids in Venezuela that don't have the medicine they need or the food they need, the families that have had to move to Colombia or Chile or to the United States. Hopefully, they'll be able to go home to freedom and democracy in the near future.
Senator, thank you so much for always being there and for this interview.
I'm going to keep doing it. The right things are going to happen. I'm very optimistic, Carla.
Me too. Me too.
Okay.
Thank you again.
I love seeing you. Bye-bye.
Soy el abogado de inmigración Jairo Hernández y los invito a que se conecten en nuestro canal de YouTube y otras redes sociales. Ahí vamos a tener programas en vivo para que nos hagan preguntas acerca de la ley de inmigración, talleres y también videos informativos. Tenemos que prepararnos para los muchos cambios que se aproximan en ley de inmigración en este 2025. Así que síguenos y actualízate.